The Elbaph arc has served and is serving as one of the best post-time skip arcs in One Piece, with the reveal of the Davy Clan and Zevek, the God Valley flashback, and the grand reveal of Nerona Imu, the ruler of the world. It has not only lived up to my expectations but far surpassed it. But there are still some mysteries regarding this island that remain. Who is Biblo the head librarian owl, and what is his deal? There is something off about this character, and even other characters in Elbaph act like so. Nobody in Elbaph even knows his background, but that's not what I'm going to talk about in this video. There's something else that is an even bigger mystery in my opinion, and it involves Luis Arnott, and a certain something that this character said at the beginning of the arc that has made some people believe that time moves slower in Elbaph than the outside world. So Luis Arnott, or Arnaut, is an explorer in One Piece introduced to us back in Little Garden, and he's actually the one who gave it its name. Because its inhabitants were giants, he thought that the island for them was really a little garden, which is how he thought of the name. And when this reveal was shown in chapter 115, we saw a book titled Brag Men. And in SBS volume 42, Oda said how the book Brag Men is full of grand tales in the Grand Line that regular citizens around the world find unbelievable. He also said that Ohara's sacrifices made sure that those books lived on, which honestly could mean that the book could very well be present in Elbaph, and that book could very well be written by Luis Arnott, and he a famous explorer from the past, and or if he's alive in the present, if he were to be anywhere in the world, that would be Elbaph. You see, in chapter 1132 at the start of the Elbaph arc, when we were first introduced to the island, the Sun World more specifically, we were given a few lines from the book Brag Men, talking about how the island was full of giant plants and animals and humans, and to be in the presence of something so gargantuan is to know emotion. How can one possibly put these vivid images into words, he says, as he tries his best to translate into his writing. Even the insects are huge on this island. Everything is breathtakingly large here. But Luis then says something interesting. He tells any oncoming adventurers, do not regret your lost time. If there is one message you can take away from my account of the mystical island of Elbaph, heed this warning. Do not overstay your welcome here. Luis Arnott, the Explorer. And that is how chapter 1182 ended. The very chapter we get to see the Sun World for the first time. We get a warning message from Luis. And from a face value, you can certainly argue that Luis is just talking about the danger aspect of Elbaph. You know, it being a land filled with humongous bugs and animals and ferocious giant warriors. So it would make sense for him to remind potential travelers reading his book, Brag Men, that you should probably not be in there for too long. But is this really all there is to it? I mean, for Oda to end the chapter on that note is so odd if it's just a one-off comment about Elbaph's giant threats in some random book. And this is where the theory arises. The theory that some people in the community believe is that time moves slower in Elbaph, so that is why Luis is warning the others to not stay on the island for too long. Now, I will be the first one to say that this is definitely on some level a Gomu Gomu no stretch, and that the most likely outcome from this is simply that Luis is warning people of Elbaph's dangers. But let's entertain this for a minute. Remember back in chapter 1076, when Shanks was on Elbaph having a drink in Ida's bar, with his crew and Colin and Dory and Bragi. Remember what he said? He got the word that Captain Kidd was offshore attacking his allies, and then he said that he felt like he lost track of time, which is an interesting choice of words when you look at it from the time dilation angle. Maybe you lost track of your time because time moves slower in Elbaph, so Shanks can't spend too much time drinking with his mates. In the official translation, Shanks says he spent too much time talking with his old friends, but the idea is the same. Shanks has been to Elbaph many times in the past and in the present, so he probably knows the dilation factor by now, and he knows when to bail. When the God Knights first got to Elbaph to recruit Loki into their faction, Shamrock was quickly called back to the Holy Land by Imu because there was something brewing in Mer Jua at a rapid pace. And in one of the recent chapters, Garling says how the situation is now quelled with Shamrock there, but the revolutionaries are going to continue stalling out the Celestial Dragons. So to me, something is off with the timing of Shamrock getting to Mer Jua and the food crisis. And even more so, when Imu descended into the lower realm, he wasted absolutely no time to get his plan in motion. He gave Omen to Summers and Killingham, and in chapter 1080 he verbatim says to Summers, "Make haste, there is little time." Now why would the ruler of the world, Nerona Imu, worry about the time? Seemingly he's been waiting centuries for the return of Nidhogg in Loki, so it would make sense if he wanted to take his time and enjoy this, enjoy taking down Nidhogg and the person responsible for taking away Herald from him. Why does he need to rush? Well, because Emu knows the world government is stretched super thin right now. And if Elbaph is time dilated, then he doesn't want to waste any precious time away from Pangaea Castle. The Navy admirals are away, supposedly busy doing something in the present. We don't know where, and the God Knights are on Elbaph. So if anyone were to attack, say Dragon and the revolutionaries, then there wouldn't be many up there strong enough to resist the entire revolutionary army, which is why Emu wants to wrap up his mission quickly. Now, admittedly, this would be true regardless of whether time moves slower in Elbaph, but this sense of urgency would absolutely ratchet up if the time dilation theory was true. And something else that is a little strange about the Elbaph arc, compared to the other post-time skip arcs, is that Oda just refuses to show us any updates from around the world. Like, what is going on out there? Where is Blackbeard and his crew? Where is Shanks at? And what are the Revolutionary Army planning? And most important of all, where is Buggy in all of this? No, but seriously, we barely got to see a peep outside of Elbaph in the entire arc, not counting flashbacks. And the only time that we did, it was in Pangaea Castle with Emu and the 5 elders. Could it be that Oda is hiding the events from the outside world? Because if you were to show them side by side with what's happening on Elbaph, it wouldn't make much sense as time moves slower on the island. Will we, when the Straw Hats get out of Elbaph, come to find out that a week or 2 weeks have passed for the rest of the world, when it's only been a day or 2 on the island? Will this be a way Oda cleverly introduces a time skip to increase the pace of the final saga, and to make characters from the younger generation stronger like Kobe, and to resolve conflicts like Blackbeard versus Shanks? Will we get a flashback to a confrontation between Shanks and Teach when we come out of Elbaph? All very thought-provoking and tantalizing questions. What do you think? Does time move slower in Elbaph? Thank you for watching. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's free, I promise. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.